It all began with a whisper. A low, hushed murmur slipping through the cracks in the walls of a century-old farmhouse in Ash Hollow, a forgotten rural town buried in the backwoods. The town's last real event was a barn fire in 1971. Since then, Ash Hollow had slept. Quiet. Undisturbed. Until that night. 3 friends, Noah, Dani, and Alia, stood in the dim attic of Noah's great-grandfather's abandoned house. The floor groaned beneath them like the structure itself hated their presence. They were only supposed to be looking around, doing one of those urban explorer videos for their YouTube channel, Ghost Circuit. But they found something they weren't meant to find. The Ouija board. It was lying beneath a pile of moldy quilts in an old cedar chest. The wood of the board was darkened with age, and the letters looked hand-carved, too intricate for a simple parlor game. There were strange symbols etched into the corners, nothing like the ones on modern boards. Twisting symbols. Inverted sigils. And the planchette, shaped more like a bone than plastic, reeked faintly of copper and rot. "This looks real," Alia whispered, touching the symbols as if they'd bite. "It is real," said Dani, her voice shaky but intrigued. "It's old. Look at that, no branding. No Parker Brothers logo." Noah ran his fingers over the board's surface. The wood was warm. Too warm. A silence settled between them, deep and unnatural, like the air itself had thickened. Somewhere below, in the shadows of the house, they heard what they thought was the scuttling of rats. But the house was sealed. Had been for years. "Let's play it," Dani said suddenly, her voice bolder now, almost changed. Alia hesitated. "What if it's cursed or something?" "Come on, don't be lame," Noah said. "It's just a board. The worst that happens is it doesn't work." But he was wrong. They cleared a dusty corner of the attic and lit the only lantern they had. The flickering yellow light gave their faces the look of corpses, sunken-eyed, shadowed, unreal. They sat in a circle. Fingertips barely touching the planchette. Dani took the lead. "Is there anyone here with us?" For a moment, nothing. Then the planchette jerked. All 3 gasped, drawing their hands back in shock. But Dani quickly returned hers. "That wasn't me," she said. "Swear to God." I didn't move it," Alia stammered. "Noah. I swear it moved on its own." They put their fingers back. "Who are you?" Dani asked. The planchette scraped. Zoso. Alia's breath hitched. "What the hell does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, the lantern flickered violently and then died. Darkness fell like a hammer. In the pitch black, they heard breathing. Not from them. From behind them. Something long and wheezy and wet. Noah scrambled for the flashlight in his backpack and turned it on. The beam caught the attic walls, but nothing was there. Only the board. And the planchette. Moved again. Getout. They backed away. "Okay, screw this," Alia said. "I'm done. This isn't funny anymore." But Dani was still sitting, staring at the board like she was hypnotized. Her eyes had changed. Gone glassy. Her lips moved, but the words weren't hers. "You called me. Now you play." Noah pulled her back. "What did you just say?" Dani blinked. Confused. "What?" "You said something. Like a different voice." I didn't say anything." Alia shivered. "Let's leave. Please." They bolted down the attic stairs, slamming the trapdoor shut behind them. The house had changed. It was colder now. Every floorboard they stepped on felt like a rib bone. The walls bled mildew. The old wallpaper was peeling, and underneath it were carvings. Symbols. The same as on the board. They reached the front door, and found it sealed. Not locked. Sealed. There were nails driven across it, dozens of them, thick and rusted, but they hadn't been there before. Dani tried a window, screaming in frustration when the glass wouldn't break, even when Noah hurled a chair at it. The wood creaked around them like something was moving within it, crawling in the walls. Alia pulled out her phone. No signal. What the hell is happening? Suddenly, a loud thud came from upstairs. Then another. Like footsteps. Heavy. Dragging. They all turned. Noah held up the flashlight. A figure stood at the top of the stairs. Its skin was gray. Ashen. Sagging like melted wax. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, as if the neck had been snapped. Hollow black pits sat where eyes should be. Its mouth hung open in a silent scream. And etched into its chest, freshly carved, were the letters. Zoso. They ran. Noah took Dani and Alia and ran toward the basement, anything to get away. They reached the door and slammed it shut behind them, plunging into the blackness of the cellar. The stairs creaked. And so did the door. As if something was pushing it open from the other side. Alia whispered, "That thing, was it real?" "I don't know," Noah said, heart pounding. "But it's not human." Dani was silent. Her fingers were twitching. Alia noticed and grabbed her. "Dani? Are you okay?" Dani looked up. Her eyes were all white. No pupils. Her voice came out layered, as if two people were speaking at once. "You broke the circle. You invited it. Now it's part of you." She convulsed and screamed, a sound that was not hers, deeper and older and inhuman. Noah tackled her, trying to restrain her as she thrashed violently on the basement floor. "Hold her down," Alia cried. But Dani stopped. Just like that. Breathing heavily. Eyes back to normal. I don't remember anything." Noah stood, trembling. "That's it. We're burning that board." They climbed back upstairs slowly, every shadow now hostile. The air was heavier, as if soaked in grief. As they reached the attic again, they saw something that made them stop cold. The board was gone. Only the planchette remained. Sitting in the middle of the attic floor. With something carved into the floorboards around it, scratched into the wood with fingernails. "You played. You stay." Alia screamed. Suddenly, the walls began to close. Not metaphorically. Literally. The ceiling groaned downward, the walls inched closer, and the attic shrank. The house was alive. They grabbed the planchette, hoping somehow they could undo it. Alia held it, hands shaking, and said aloud. "Can we end the game?" The planchette moved in her hands, slowly, violently. N-O. Then, G-O-D-I-S-D-E-A-D. The wind howled through the cracks in the boards. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. They stumbled backward as the floor opened beneath them, an impossible, yawning pit of blackness, stretching down farther than it should. Farther than the basement. Into the earth itself. Something reached out from that pit. A hand. Long, skeletal fingers wrapped in black sinew. Clawed and scorched, it grabbed the edge of the floor, hauling something up. A face appeared. Not fully formed, malleable, shifting, like hot wax over bone. And from its jagged grin leaked black fluid that sizzled when it hit the wood. Noah hurled the planchette into the pit. The creature screamed, an unholy, bone-rattling sound. The house shook. Then. Silence. Everything stopped. The attic returned to normal. The walls receded. The ceiling rose. The pit was gone. The air was still. Noah collapsed. Dani cried. Alia looked at the corner where the board had been. And saw it was back. Untouched. Pristine. As if none of it had happened. But it had. Because etched into the back of Dani's neck were the letters. Zoso. And when Alia looked into her eyes, she saw something else looking back. Not Dani. Something wearing her. And it smiled. Dani didn't remember anything after the attic. One moment, she was watching the planchette spell out Zoso, and the next, she was lying on the floor of the living room, drenched in cold sweat. Her head throbbed, her limbs trembled, and her mouth was dry with the taste of ash. The others stood over her in horror. Noah's voice cracked. Dani, why your neck? What? She rasped, struggling to sit up. What's on my neck? Alia lifted Dani's hair with trembling hands. The skin was hot to the touch, as though it had been freshly burned. Etched into the flesh, deep and red, were 4 unmistakable letters. Zoso. Dani flinched at the pain as Alia pulled away. I don't understand, she whispered. I don't remember anything. Noah paced, clutching his head. We need to destroy it. The board. The planchette. Everything. They returned to the attic, this time armed with a crowbar, lighter fluid, and the desperate hope that fire could erase what had been unleashed. But the board was gone again. The attic was empty. No board. No planchette. Just dust swirling in shafts of pale morning light. That's impossible, Noah muttered. It was here. We saw it. It's hiding, Dani whispered. Her voice was hollow. Detached. Noah turned to her. What do you mean hiding? She looked at them both, and her eyes, though blue, had dark rings under them like bruises. It's part of this place. It was never just a board. It's a key. Alia stepped back. A key to what? Before Dani could answer, she convulsed. Her eyes rolled back. Her back arched. A scream tore from her throat that sounded nothing like her. Something older was speaking through her mouth, twisting her vocal cords. The game doesn't end. Not until it has all of you. Then silence. Dani collapsed. Noah rushed to her side, holding her limp body, but her chest was still rising. Her breathing was ragged but steady. Her skin, clammy. Eyes fluttering. What the hell is happening to her? Alia whispered, crying now. She's not herself. Noah stared into the attic shadows. We need help. We need a priest. A shaman. A damn witch if we have to. Anyone who knows how to deal with this. But we're trapped. They tried the doors again. Still sealed. Still nailed shut from the inside. The windows no longer showed the outside world. Only blackness. Like someone had placed thick tar paper behind them, or worse, like there was no outside anymore. Just the house. And it. Noah remembered something. There's a second house on the property, he said suddenly. A caretaker's shed, way out by the tree line. It might still have old tools. Something. An axe, bolt cutters, anything to get us out of here. Alia nodded, wiping her tears. Then we go. Fast. Before night comes. They helped Dani to her feet. Her legs were unsteady. She didn't speak much. But she smiled when they weren't looking. A subtle, knowing smile. The kind a predator wears when pretending to be weak. Outside, the sky was wrong. It wasn't cloudy, it was gray. A dull, unmoving gray like wet concrete. No wind. No sound. No birds. Even time felt suspended. As they walked through the dead yard, the the trees seemed to lean toward them. Watching. Their bark split in jagged patterns that resembled faces, mouths open in silent screams. Alia shuddered. The caretaker's shed came into view, a slanted, moss-covered building that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Its door creaked open with a long, agonized groan. The inside was choked with shadows and the scent of mold and decay. Noah stepped in first. And immediately stopped. It was there. The Ouija board. Laid neatly on the ground in the center of the room. The planchette on top. No, Alia whispered. How? How did it get here? Noah approached slowly, as if it might bite. It followed us. No, Dani said softly. Her voice strange again. We followed it. They turned to her. Her face was blank. Her eyes, black. Jet black. No whites. No irises. Just two voids staring back. Noah stumbled away. She's not Dani anymore. It's got her. Dani laughed. She invited me in. I like her. She's warm. Alia grabbed a rusted sledgehammer from the corner of the shed and swung it down on the board. The moment the hammer made contact, the room exploded with sound. Shrieking. Not from Dani. Not from outside. But from inside their heads. 1,000 voices, screaming at once. Blood ran from Alia's nose. Noah fell to his knees, clutching his skull. The board cracked, but didn't break. Instead, black smoke poured from the fracture, coiling upward like snakes. The smoke took form. A towering shape, 7 feet tall, built of shadow and bone. Its face was a shifting mess of mouths and eyes, constantly rearranging. It had long arms that dragged along the floor, fingers ending in sharp points. And from its chest emerged a grotesque second face, one that looked exactly like Dani's. The real Dani. She was trapped inside it. Help me, the face sobbed. Please. It's eating me. Then the face melted into the monster's flesh. The thing let out a wet, gurgling chuckle. You should have never opened the door. It lunged. Alia screamed and threw the hammer. It passed through the creature like mist. Noah grabbed her and ran, dragging her out of the shed as the black smoke chased them. The creature didn't run, it glided, its body stretching and bending like liquid shadow. They barely made it to the house before slamming the door shut behind them. But Dani was already inside. She stood at the top of the stairs, looking down with those hollow, black eyes. Where are you going? She whispered. You're already home. Then she crawled down the wall. Not walked, crawled. Her body bent backward like a spider. Her limbs popped and twisted. Bones cracked. Her mouth unhinged into a toothy, predatory smile. Alia screamed and ran for the basement. Noah followed, slamming the door and jamming an old dresser against it. Dani, or whatever was controlling her, scratched at the other side. Softly. Rhythmically. Like she was playing with them. From the corner of the basement came a sound. A voice. Whimpering. Faint. Noah, help me, please. It was Dani's voice. The real one. Noah turned his flashlight toward the sound. And gasped. Behind the old water heater, chained to the wall with rusted manacles, was another Dani. Emaciated. Pale. Eyes red from crying. The chains had carved into her skin. What? Alia's knees gave out. That's not possible. Noah stumbled forward. How long have you been here? I don't know, she sobbed. It took me when we used the board. That thing wearing my face, it's not me. It's Zoso. It pulled me into the veil. What's the veil? Alia asked, barely able to speak. It's between places. Between life and death. Between here and there. Alia moved to the chains and began pulling at them. Don't, the real Dani whispered. It'll know. If you free me, it'll come. A loud crash above. The basement door splintered. The creature was coming. Its voice echoed down the stairwell. You found her. How sweet. Now you all stay. The lights burst, every bulb exploding in a shower of sparks. Noah pulled Dani's chains with all his strength until they snapped. She fell forward into his arms. And the house began to shake. Walls bent. The floor heaved. The foundation itself groaned like it was in pain. The monster descended the stairs, limb by limb, upside down. Its face now bore the smiles of all three of them. Layered over each other. You can't run, it hissed. You played. Noah grabbed the planchette, yes, it was down here now, and pressed it into the real Dani's hand. What do we do? He yelled. She looked into the dark and said, we finish the game. Then what? If we win, we send it back. And if we lose? She didn't answer. The shadow thing crept closer, its hands stretching forward, fingers clawing. Ask, Dani whispered. Now. Noah placed his hand on the planchette. Alia did the same. Dani joined them. Are you there? Noah asked. The board moved. Yes. What do you want? Souls. Dani stared the monster down. Then play. One last round. The creature hesitated. It seemed interested. Then, to their shock, it joined them. It reached out a crooked claw and pressed it on the planchette. Ask your question, it whispered. Dani locked eyes with the creature. If we win, will you leave? The planchette paused. Then slid. Yes. A final game had begun. But the rules? They were no longer human. The basement felt like a coffin. The old Ouija board was laid out before them, sitting atop cracked concrete smeared with soot, dried blood, and things no one dared identify. The planchette, now blackened and slightly warped, trembled under their fingers. Noah, Alia, Dani, and it. Zoso. The demon didn't hide now. It crouched at the edge of the board, its massive hunched form contorted like bone twisted in a fire. Its claws gently rested on the planchette. Where its eyes should have been, there were only holes that dripped ink like tears. Its grin never moved. Begin, Zoso hissed. Ask. Dani steadied her breath. Her real body still trembled from exhaustion and pain, but her mind was sharp, focused. She remembered things that weren't hers, memories from the veil, visions of past victims. The demon had played this game before. No one ever won. Noah spoke. We're ready. We accept the challenge. Zoso tilted its head, amused. Very well, it growled. The rules are mine now. 3 questions. Each player answers. 1 lie. 2 truths. If I find your lie, I keep your soul. If you fool me, I retreat for 7 days. Alia whispered, 7 days. Zoso's grin widened. Before I come again. Stronger. Noah leaned close to Dani. We can beat it, right? She didn't answer. Her silence was louder than fear. Zoso rasped, let us begin. Round 1, Noah. Zoso raised its head. Noah. Tell your 3. Noah hesitated. His voice cracked. Okay. He tried to control his heartbeat. 1. I watched my dog die when I was 6. 2. I cheated on a high school exam and never told anyone. 3. I killed a man. Alia's eyes snapped to him in disbelief. Dani stayed still. Zoso didn't move. The air grew heavier, pressing on their chests like stone. It sniffed. The planchette began to move on its own. Sliding violently. It circled once. Twice. Then stopped at a single word. Lie. Zoso let out a laugh that shook the walls. You've never killed a man, it hissed. But you wanted to. Badly. Noah slumped. The planchette glowed red beneath his fingers. A mark burned into his wrist, faint but deep. A claw-like symbol. Alia grabbed him. What is it? Are you okay? He nodded. It just burns. Zoso leaned in, its breath sour and steaming. 1 lost. 2 remain. Round 2, Alia. You, Zoso growled, facing her. Lie to me. Alia's voice was barely audible. Okay. 1, I used to steal from my mother's purse as a kid. 2, I tried to end my life when I was 15. 3, I buried a dead bird in the schoolyard. Zoso was quiet. Too quiet. Then it sniffed again. The flesh on its skull shifted. A new eye opened on its forehead, yellow and cracked. You're hiding behind sadness. It slammed its claws onto the board. Lie, you never tried to die. You wanted them to see you suffer. Alia screamed as her wrist ignited with searing heat. The mark appeared again. A second soul lost. Zoso's teeth ground together in glee. You humans wear your guilt like perfume. Round 3, Dani. The air dropped 10 degrees. Zoso turned to Dani, its most prized possession. Let's see if your true self can lie. Dani closed her eyes. She was trembling, but something was burning behind her gaze now. Something fierce. Her voice was steady. 1, I saw you in my dreams before we played. 2, I liked it when you took over. 3, I've never believed in God. Zoso stared at her. For the first time, it hesitated. Its smile faded. No, it whispered. No, no. You wanted me. Didn't you? Dani stared straight back. No. The demon growled. It slammed the planchette. Lie, you liked it. The board cracked beneath her fingers. The others recoiled, but Dani did not scream. She just smiled. And Zoso froze. You guessed wrong, she whispered. Zoso hissed. Liar. Dani stood, hand still on the planchette. The mark on her arm glowed gold, not red. You didn't take me, she said. I let you in. I wanted to understand you. But now, I know what you are. The house shook. Zoso's limbs lashed in rage. This game is mine. No, Dani said. You lost. The board exploded in light. The shadows screamed. A wind tore through the basement, howling like tortured souls. Zoso thrashed, its body unraveling, stretching, cracking. Faces emerged from its flesh, hundreds of them. Crying. Screaming. Noah and Alia clung to each other as the room collapsed inward. The floor split. Zoso fell backward into the dark, a swirling vortex of ink and flame, dragging the board and planchette with him. 7 days, he howled as he sank. I return in 7 days. Then he was gone. The house went silent. For the first time in hours, the front door creaked open on its own. The windows cleared. Outside, birds sang. It was over. For now. Aftermath. Noah, Alia, and Dani stumbled into the light, collapsing on the dead grass of the yard. The air felt real again. Time returned. For the first few minutes, none of them spoke. Then Noah broke the silence. 7 days. Dani nodded. Her arms still glowed faintly. I made a deal, she whispered. He leaves us, but comes back stronger. Alia sat up. Then what do we do? Dani looked at them both. We prepare. The first night after Zoso vanished, none of them slept. They left the cursed farmhouse behind, fleeing Ash Hollow in a beat-up rental van Dani's father had left her. No one spoke during the drive. Not even the radio worked. It only hissed when turned on. Static, and the occasional voice that didn't belong to any station. Play again, 7 days. By sunrise, they reached a motel just outside the city. Room 207. A box with paper-thin walls, flickering lights, and a broken AC unit that coughed instead of cooling. Still, it felt safer than the house. But safety was a lie. Dani knew it. She felt it moving beneath her skin, the warmth of the demon's mark pulsing like a heartbeat. She didn't tell the others how often her vision blurred. Or that sometimes, in the mirror, her reflection didn't move when she did. She was being watched. Noah covered the room's mirror with a towel. Alia taped salt lines around the room's perimeter, something she'd read online from a demonology forum. It made her feel better. Dani didn't have the heart to say it wouldn't matter. Because Zoso wasn't outside anymore. He was inside. Day 2. That night, Noah had the dream. He stood in a hallway lined with doors. Wooden, aged, all closed, but whispering. The whispers were frantic. Childlike. Begging. He opened the first. Inside, his childhood bedroom. But instead of furniture, there were bodies, stacked floor to ceiling. All of them had his face, eyes burned out, mouth stitched shut. He slammed it shut. Opened the second. Dani stood inside, motionless, her mouth moving silently. Blood poured from her ears, her fingertips charred to bone. On the wall behind her, scrawled in blood. He lied. The third door opened itself. There was no room. Only black. And a face within it. Zoso. Its smile was wider now. Eyes more human. Wearing flesh it had taken. Wearing Noah's smile. Still running, it whispered. The game never ended. You're all still playing. Noah woke with a scream. Dani was already awake. Sitting in the corner. Watching him. You dreamed, she said. Not asked. Stated. He nodded, breath heaving. Yeah. Did you? She shook her head. I don't sleep anymore. Day 3. The mark on Dani's arm began to spread. It wasn't burning now. It was growing. The black claw-like scar etched into her wrist slithered upward, branching out like ink under skin. Tendrils reached toward her elbow. Sometimes it itched. Other times, it felt like something inside was moving. Alia noticed it while Dani was changing shirts. Oh my God, it's spreading. Dani covered it quickly. I know. We need a priest, Alia insisted. An exorcist. Someone. Anything. Noah searched online. Most were frauds. One guy even asked if they had a TikTok following before agreeing to help. But then, something strange. In an old forum, Darkveil.net, buried among abandoned threads, Noah found a username. Sister Vatra _13. Tagged beneath a post titled Zoso, Ancient Gatekeeper. Rituals. The thread had only one message. If you've seen the board, and the name was spoken, there is no escape. But there may be delay. Find me before day 7. After that, the gate opens again. Attached, coordinates. In the woods outside Harrow's Ridge. Near the mountains. They had no other options. Day 4. The motel room was colder now. Lights flickered even when turned off. The salt lines were broken, not scattered, but cut, as though with a scalpel. Dani began talking in her sleep, chanting in languages no one understood. One night, she sat up, eyes rolled back, whispering. The gate is blood. The gate is bone. We are keys. Alia cried in the bathroom. Noah begged her to hold it together. But Dani only stared at the mirror. Because now, it moved without her. Sometimes the reflection turned its head after she did. Sometimes it smiled when she didn't. On the night of the 4th day, it spoke. Only Dani heard it. It said, "Let me back in." Day 5. They arrived at Harrow's Ridge. The road ended half a mile before the woods began. It was cold. Too cold for June. The sky, overcast with a sickly yellow hue. They hiked with a compass, no cell signal. The forest was quiet. No birds. No insects. Only wind. After 2 hours, they found it. An old church, collapsed and sunken into the earth. Only the stone archway and bell tower remained. Beneath the arch, they saw her. Sister Vatra. She was ancient. Skin like dried paper. Her robe torn and burned in places. Her eyes were white, blind, but she turned to them perfectly as they approached. You carry the mark, she said to Dani. Dani nodded. The demon knows you. The veil is thin now. On the 7th night, it will walk again. Unless. She paused. Alia leaned forward. Unless what? You seal the gate. From the inside. Noah's face went pale. What does that mean? Sister Vatra looked toward Dani. One of you must enter. Must go through the veil. Face it. Bind it again in its own realm. Dani exhaled slowly. I'll go. Alia grabbed her. No, Dani, there has to be another way. There isn't, Sister Vatra said. This is the price. You opened the door. Dani stepped into the ruined church. In the earth, behind the altar, was a hole, a sinkhole, blacker than night, with bones twisted into its rim. Sister Vatra began the chant. Ancient words. In a voice not hers. The trees bent inward. The wind screamed. Dani approached the pit. It whispered her name. Dani. It sounded like her mother. Then her own voice. Then Alia's. Then Zoso's. Noah stopped her. Wait. He pulled a chain from his neck. A small cross. Take it. She took it, smiling faintly. Thanks. She stepped into the black. And fell. The veil. It was not a place. It was a feeling. No ground. No sky. Just darkness and shapes, horrors half seen. Screams echoing in every direction. Faces floated in the dark. Children. Old men. The dead. And Zoso, everywhere. His voice. His breath. His grin. He emerged from the shadows, larger now. Wings of smoke. Fingers of fire. Dozens of mouths whispering at once. You came back to me. Dani held the cross tightly. Not for you. To end this. He laughed. There is no ending. Only delay. He lunged. She ran. Through the nightmare world of pain and memory. Each step tore her open. Each scream cut her deeper. But she didn't stop. She reached the center of the veil, a massive version of the Ouija board, floating in blackness. And she began to chant Sister Vatra's words. Zoso screamed. The sky cracked. The souls trapped here rose around her, lending their strength. Their hope. She poured every ounce of herself into the final word. The board shattered. The veil screamed. And Dani was gone. Day 6. Noah and Alia awoke beside the collapsed church. The sun was out. Warm. Birds chirped. Sister Vatra was gone. Noah held the cross Dani took. It was burned black. Alia wept for hours. But the mark on Noah's wrist had faded. Zoso was sealed. For now. Day 7. Back at home, Noah stared at the night sky. Peace. Until the mirror in the hallway cracked. And from within, a voice whispered. You didn't play, but you watched. The game wasn't over. It had only begun. It began with the mirror. Noah had just stepped out of the shower, towel around his waist, steam clinging to the air like fog on glass. The motel's small bathroom mirror was fogged over, except for one part, a perfect handprint in the middle. But it wasn't his. The fingers were longer. Thinner. The palm too narrow. As if made by something almost human. Noah stared at it. Then he saw it. A shape, inside the mirror. Not a reflection. A figure. Standing behind him in the mirror, but when he turned, nothing was there. The lights flickered. Behind the glass, the figure moved again. Noah leaned forward, breath trembling, and wiped the condensation off the surface. And his reflection didn't move. It stood still. Expressionless. And then. It smiled. But Noah did not. Same night, 2:47 a.m. Alia awoke to the sound of whispering. At first, she thought it was the TV. But the screen was off. The whispers continued, soft, repetitive, childlike. She rose and followed the voice to the bathroom. Noah stood there, facing the mirror, unmoving. Noah, she whispered. He didn't respond. He was whispering to himself, repeating something over and over. Play again, play again, play again. Alia stepped closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. He turned to face her, and his eyes were all black. She screamed. The mirror shattered behind him in a violent explosion of glass. Shards rained across the room, slicing into her arms and face. Noah collapsed to the floor. Eyes normal. Confused. What happened? What did I do? Alia backed away, hands bleeding. You were gone, Noah. Your eyes, they weren't yours. Noah looked around, at the broken glass, the words now scratched into the bathroom wall behind the mirror. Day 7 begins at midnight. Later that morning. They left the motel. They didn't speak. They didn't eat. They drove in silence, until Alia slammed on the brakes. Because the road in front of them had vanished. A thick fog had replaced it, unnatural, heavy, breathing. Beyond it, only forest. They turned around. The road behind them was gone too. Trapped. Again. And behind them, in the rearview mirror, they saw Dani. Not in the car. In the reflection. Standing in the back seat. Smiling. The mirror realm. Dani wasn't dead. Not exactly. She wandered a place that wasn't time. Wasn't memory. It was between. Here, reflections were alive. Here, mirrors were doors. She had stopped aging. She had stopped bleeding. But she had not stopped feeling. Pain was constant. Each surface showed her a version of herself, some twisted, some crying, some begging to be let out. Others laughing. One whispered, "You can come back. Let me take your place." But Dani knew better. She was the seal. If she left, the gate opened. Zoso was still clawing at the edges, trying to cheat the deal. But mirrors. Mirrors were loopholes. And someone, somewhere, was letting him in. Noah's descent. Back at the motel. Noah stopped sleeping. His reflection had vanished entirely. Now, whenever he looked into a mirror, or a window, or a screen, he saw someone else. A version of him, but twisted. Pale. Hollow. He called it the Watcher. And it didn't mimic him anymore. It stood still while he moved. Then one day, it spoke. Alia's next, it whispered. Then it reached out from inside the glass, placing its hand on the inside of the mirror. The glass bent, warped, like plastic melting from heat. Noah smashed it with his bare fists. Glass tore through his knuckles. But the hand was gone. Alia's vision. Alia began to see Dani too, but not the Dani she knew. This Dani's skin was gray. Her eyes, sunken. She walked unnaturally, like her limbs were being pulled on strings. One night, she looked into the motel's black TV screen and saw Dani standing behind her. Alia turned. Nothing there. But when she looked back, the screen was showing her own death. A vision. Her in a bathtub, wrists open. Eyes wide. A smile carved into her face like a grotesque doll. Dani whispering in her ear. One cut for the soul. One for the door. Alia threw the remote, shattering the TV. It screamed. Not beeped, screamed. From the broken speakers came Zoso's voice. She broke the deal. The final night, day 7 begins. It was midnight. The motel room went dark. Completely. No light. No noise. Just silence. Then the mirrors began to open. Every reflective surface became liquid. Figures crawled through, hundreds of them, twisted, rotting, shadowy reflections of Dani, Noah, Alia, even strangers they didn't know. All walking backward. All smiling. Noah grabbed Alia. We need to finish it. We need to find the board again. But it's gone. No, Noah whispered. It's never gone. It's waiting. He turned to the mirror. And stepped into it. Inside the mirror world. The moment they entered, the rules changed. Gravity bent. Time collapsed. Alia looked down and saw herself as a child, crying in a hospital room. Noah saw himself standing over a grave, his own. Dani stood at the center. But her body was cracking. Light oozed from her veins. The seal was breaking. Zoso hovered above her, massive now, wings of mirrors, head crowned with antlers made of bone and glass. You let them in, Dani said softly. Now you must send them back. Noah stepped forward. I brought the cross. Zoso laughed. A toy. But Noah had changed. His arms were glowing now too. Marked. Branded. But not cursed. Chosen. He knelt beside Dani and drove the blackened cross into the mirror ground. A scream tore through the realm. The reflections shrieked. Zoso howled. The realm trembled. Dani placed her hands on Noah's shoulders. Alia took Noah's hand. All three chanted in unison. Close the gate. Burn the glass. Bind the game. The realm shattered. Mirrors cracked. The figures dissolved into ash. Zoso roared. No. And then. Silence. Back in the motel. Noah and Alia awoke in their beds. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Birds sang. Normal. Real. But Dani was gone. And every mirror in the room was cracked. Just slightly. Like something inside was still watching. Still waiting. A final note scrawled on the mirror. Do not play again. But they both knew. Someone would. 6 months later. Date, October 31st. Location, Halewood Suburb, Vermont. The house at 99 Elder Lane was newly built, modern, sleek, overpriced. Nothing about it suggested evil. It had never known death. No one had ever suffered here. Until tonight. Inside, a group of high school seniors gathered for a Halloween party. The usual crowd, loud, half-drunk, desperate to impress. Music blared, costumes shimmered, and in the middle of it all sat a boy named Liam Torres, curious, skeptical, and bored. He found it in the attic. A dusty box. Old. Heavy. Inside, a planchette. A wooden board. The word Ouija carved in ornate black letters across the top. Guys, Liam shouted, holding it up, check this out. His friend Shane laughed. That's not spooky, it's vintage. Tara, dressed as a witch, grabbed it. Let's play. I've always wanted to try one. Liam hesitated. The board felt wrong. Warm, even in the cold attic air. It smelled like ash. Like something that had burned, but never died. Still, he didn't resist when they gathered around. The new game begins. Is there anyone here? Tara asked playfully. The planchette jerked. Everyone froze. Liam stared down. Yes. Tara laughed nervously. Okay, who's pushing it? No one admitted to it. She asked again, what's your name? The planchette moved faster this time. Zoso. Liam's breath hitched. He'd seen that name before. Somewhere online. He couldn't remember where, but the name made his skin crawl. What do you want? Shane asked, trying to sound brave. The board didn't hesitate. SOULS. Elsewhere, that same night. Noah's apartment, Boston. Noah awoke with a gasp. His chest burned. He rushed to the mirror, his eyes bloodshot, his hands shaking. The mirror was fogged, even though the room was cold. In the center, written in dripping condensation. The game has begun again. He fell to his knees, hands gripping the sink. He had tried to move on. Tried to forget. But it always came back. He picked up his phone, already dialing. Alia, it's happening again. Her voice was quiet. I know. Back at 99, Elder Lane. The party had changed. The lights flickered. The music warped, slow, unnatural. Distorted. People began to vanish. One by one. Someone went upstairs and never came down. Someone opened a closet and never came back out. The Ouija board pulsed with heat. Tara clutched her throat, gagging. Shane screamed as the walls bled black oil. Liam tried to run. The door was gone. Only mirror. He saw himself inside. But the reflection smiled. And waved. Noah and Alia reunite. They met at a diner just past midnight. Both looked older now. More tired. Scarred in ways time couldn't fix. Alia had a bag in her lap, salt, old books, a charred crucifix, and a rusted planchette they never threw away. It's spreading, she whispered. You feel it? Noah nodded. Through reflections. Through memory. He doesn't need the board anymore. Dani kept it. Sealed, until now. Alia's voice broke. She's still in there. Somewhere. Noah looked out the window. In the reflection of the glass. Dani stood. Eyes black. Smiling. Back in the house. Liam found himself alone. Everyone else, gone. No bodies. No blood. Just whispers. Play again. Let us in. Give yourself. Dani. Dani. He stumbled into the bathroom. The mirror was shattered, but something moved behind it. A girl. Wearing a white dress. Skin pale. Eyes hollow. She stepped through the glass like it was water. Liam screamed and backed into the hallway. Only to find Dani standing behind him. Don't be afraid, she said softly. You didn't open the door. He trembled. Then why am I here? Because you're holding it open. And she vanished. The arrival. Noah and Alia stood outside the house at Elder Lane. It was quiet. Too quiet. The lights were on, but flickering. The air pulsed. Every window was black glass, a mirror. Alia clutched the salt and her rusted crucifix. Are you ready? Noah nodded. They stepped inside. The house groaned. As if alive. And at the end of the hall, sitting in the dark, was Zoso. But he wasn't hiding now. His form had evolved, a monstrous reflection stitched from everyone he had ever taken. Multiple heads. Dozens of arms. Eyes blooming like tumors. Some mouths whispered. Others screamed. One wept. He stood slowly, cracking bones in slow, grotesque symphony. Hello, Noah. The voice came from everywhere. Alia raised the crucifix. It burned her palm, but the light pushed Zoso back, for a moment. You broke the deal, Noah said. You cheated. Zoso smiled, rows of rotten teeth. I only waited. You forgot the rules. A game never ends if someone new joins. The house transforms. The walls melted. Doors twisted into mouths. The floor bubbled. Reflections stretched from every surface, pulling them in. Noah fought them off with fire, burning the couch, the carpet, even the air. Alia sprinkled salt in circles, trapping the spirits trying to crawl free. They made it to the attic. And there, sitting perfectly untouched, was the board. It looked new. Waiting. The planchette began to move. On its own. Welcomeback. Dani returns. The mirror behind the board shattered. From it, Dani emerged. But she was different. Half of her still burned with light. The other half, shadow. She was the seal, but broken. I can't hold him forever, she said, voice shaking. He's inside now. Everywhere. We must finish it. Noah placed the planchette. Dani joined them. Alia, 2. 3 again. Zoso roared from the walls. No rules. No end. Just play. And the board began the final game. The attic bled. Blood ran from the corners of the room, soaking into the wood, oozing from the walls. Reflections writhed in every surface, floorboards, glass, eyes. They didn't mirror reality anymore. They showed what came next. And it was hell. Noah, Alia, and Dani sat around the board, each of them breathing heavily, their faces pale. Zoso loomed behind them. His new form was colossal now, scraping the rafters, made of limbs and teeth, bound in chains made from human spines. The demons' voices overlapped, children screaming, mothers wailing, whispers begging for mercy. You can't win, it snarled. You opened the door. You fed the gate. Dani's hand trembled as she reached for the planchette. But she did not look away. We'll close it. And this time, we'll seal it with blood. The final game begins. The room flickered, lights surging, time distorting. They all placed their fingers on the planchette. Noah asked the question. Are you there? The planchette jolted. Yes. Alia whispered, is this Zoso? Yes. Noah leaned forward. Then play. The board hummed. It spoke. Threequestions. Onelie. Whodies. Zoso grinned. The demon's claws pressed into the wood, crumbling it slightly, but the board pulsed with ancient power. It couldn't break it. Not yet. The air became heavy, almost gelatinous. Breathing felt like drowning in oil. Round 1, Noah. He swallowed hard. His heartbeat pounded in his skull. 1. I never forgave my mother for leaving. 2. I wanted Dani to die instead of me. 3. I see her in my dreams every night. The planchette jerked. It circled slowly. Then stopped. You wanted to die, Noah. And you still do. His hand burned. The veins on his arms turned black. He screamed and collapsed, but the mark glowed white this time. He had tricked Zoso. 1 point against the demon. Zoso shrieked in rage. Round 2, Alia. Her hands trembled violently. Tears ran down her face. 1. I believe in God. 2. I think Dani is already gone. 3. I'm not afraid anymore. Zoso growled. The planchette moved. You're terrified. You're screaming inside. Alia screamed, not from pain, but from truth. The mirror behind her cracked and bled. But her arms remained clean. Another point for the humans. Zoso roared, the room cracking like an egg, the ceiling splitting, exposing black sky and writhing stars that moved like insects. Round 3, Dani. The most dangerous round. Dani's body flickered with light and shadow, half glowing, half bleeding, torn between dimensions. She stared into Zoso's ever-changing face. And spoke. 1. I let you in because I was curious. 2. I stayed in the veil to protect them. 3. I missed the feeling of being whole, with you inside me. The room went still. Even the demon didn't move. The planchette quivered. Then circled. Slower this time. More careful. And pointed. You never missed me. You hated me. Dani smiled. And the mark flared golden across her entire body. A third point. The humans won. The attic exploded in blinding light. Zoso howled as chains of flame wrapped around his limbs, pulling him toward the floor. No. I am the gate. I am the endless. Dani rose to her feet, eyes burning with power. You were the game. But we ended it. Zoso shrieked, his skin peeling, forms collapsing into themselves. The gate beneath the board opened. A swirling black hole of teeth and flame, souls screaming within. Zoso fought, but the board glowed, now inscribed with Dani's name. She was the key. And the lock. The sacrifice. Dani turned to Noah and Alia. I have to go with him. Alia fell to her knees. No. We beat him. He'll return, Dani whispered. He always returns. Unless someone stays. Someone with the mark. Noah sobbed. There has to be another way. There isn't. She walked to the board, her body cracking, golden light bleeding from her mouth and eyes. Zoso screamed in rage. If you do this, I'll never return. Dani smiled sadly. That's the idea. She stepped into the gate, dragging Zoso behind her, chains burning into his flesh, his mouths wailing. The board burst into flame. Silence. The house collapsed around them. Not violently, peacefully. Like a nightmare dissolving at sunrise. Noah and Alia stumbled into daylight. The police found them hours later, wandering through the woods, shaking, whispering Dani's name. The house was gone. No foundation. No structure. Just dirt. And in that dirt, a single mirror. Cracked. With a note carved beneath it. Do not speak the name. 1 year later. Noah teaches now. Quiet life. No mirrors in his home. Alia moved to a remote village. No phones. No glass. They don't talk often. But sometimes, when it rains, Noah looks out the window, and sees Dani standing there. Not in the rain. In the reflection. Watching. Smiling. Protecting. Somewhere in the countryside. Date, October 31st, 1 year later. The farmhouse was old. Not haunted. Not infamous. Just forgotten. It sat on a hill surrounded by dead trees, its windows long shattered, its walls peeling from decades of weather and decay. It hadn't been lived in for nearly 40 years. The locals called it the Hollow House. Kids dared each other to run up to the porch at night, but none ever stayed long. Until now. Inside, 2 children explored with flashlights, Maya, age 12, and her brother Jonah, 10. Come on, Maya said, brushing past spiderwebs. You said you weren't scared. I'm not scared, Jonah mumbled, gripping the flashlight tighter. They entered the attic. The smell was wrong, dust, yes, but also smoke. Burnt paper. Old rot. There, under a sheet, was a box. Maya pulled off the cloth. The box creaked as it opened. Inside. A wooden board. Letters etched in swirling patterns. The word Ouija burned across the top. A planchette, blackened by age, rested on the center. Maya grinned. No way. Let's play. Jonah hesitated. Mom says those things are evil. She says everything is evil. It's just a game. Maya sat cross-legged and placed her fingers on the planchette. Jonah joined her reluctantly. Maya cleared her throat. Is there anyone here with us? The attic breathed. The shadows seemed to shift. Jonah swallowed hard. The planchette moved. Yes. He yanked his hand back. Stop it, Maya. I didn't move it. Then who did? They stared at the board. The planchette shifted again. Z. O. S. O. Jonah's face turned pale. That's not funny. Maya didn't answer. She couldn't move. Her hand, stuck to the planchette. Her eyes, wide. The attic darkened. Behind them, the mirror, covered in grime, began to clear. Not from the outside. From inside. And in its surface. A face. Smiling. In a different place. Noah jolted awake. He looked around. Alia's voice buzzed over his phone. She was crying. Noah. She said. It's happening again. The window beside him began to fog. A handprint formed. Then a word, etched slowly in condensation. Play. In the mirror realm. Dani stood in endless darkness. Alone. Watching. Waiting. Until the chains snapped. And something moved behind her. A voice like cracking bone whispered. It's your turn now. Final shot. A child's laughter echoes through the hollow house attic. The Ouija board pulses faintly. The mirror cracks slightly. And deep within the blackness. Zoso smiles. END, Ouija, the devil's game.